if I would blow her off to hang out with Kyle, she'd be like, why didn't you call me back? And I'd be like, why are you so obsessed with me?
All right, hello everybody. As always, it's been a while, but I actually, if any of you guys care, I filmed Pluto in the 11th and the 12th. And realized again that beeping sound, you know, like my 12th house Mercury, I didn't hear it, that it was going on the whole time. So I was like, you know, I'll refilm the video, put out something that's not gonna be, you know, annoying to you guys. But anyway, after much time, we're gonna do, again, Pluto in the 11th house. So to start, we'll go to the social realm to start with this. Pluto in the 11th house is going to make you have very intense relationships with your friends. And that could be, you know, them being intense towards you or you being intense towards them. But either way, it's going to be a lot. And it can manifest in different ways, such as maybe calling or texting all the time, constantly asking you what you're doing, just wanting you to hang out with them every day. Or if you can't, you know, be there in person, they just want you to be very updated and informed maybe about every detail or, you know, every stage of their life. Or maybe you just feel this intensity to know, like, what's my friend doing right now? Did she make it to the thing that she was telling me about, or whatever? So a lot of intensity in your social circle both ways. You may get very frustrated until you learn to evolve in your older years, your Pluto. You may get very frustrated if there is any blockage to the intensity that you're trying to feel with your friends. So let's say, it's a very common example, you don't like the person who your friend is dating, and you may feel, because you have this intensely close relationship, like you have to tell them why and they have to know, and they may continue to date that person. You may feel very, very frustrated. You can really take on your friend's problems as your own, or you may really want them to be a part of your problems, because to you, it kind of symbolizes the intensity of the friendship. Well, if you're my friend, wouldn't you care? If you're my best friend, then wouldn't you really care? So you can get pretty frustrated about that until you get older and until you learn to evolve your Pluto and to say, like, this is my friend. They are a separate person from me. They are an individual. And while I may have feelings, maybe even strong feelings about what they're doing or how they're living their life, I can just politely and respectfully say my piece, and then I have to be detached from there. So you guys can definitely get to that place, but it may take some time and it may take a couple of hiccups along the way for you to really strike that balance between. Or, like I said, somebody may be doing that to you and you may have to be like, yo, I'm gonna live my life. Thank you for the advice. And let's just leave it there. Also, in the realm of social circles, groups, you may be very domineering and controlling. This is Pluto. Pluto is very, very powerful and it's very intense. So you may try to do that, and then it can really garner a lot of resentment from other people if you take it too far. So another common example would be, let's say you have like a group project for school. You may be very on everybody in the group to keep up with, for everybody to do their part to make the group be what it is. And it's not a bad thing, because, and we'll get into this later, you can really affect a lot of change, especially within a group, but you want to make sure that everybody still likes you at the end of it. So while it's not bad to be the leader or to be the front runner of a group, let the other people add to the group in the way that is best for them, because that's what makes a group. A lot of individuals, you know, coming together, but everybody brings their own little piece. So let people bring their piece in peace. And they might actually be this unspoken exchange where, because you're letting them be themselves and you're not like breathing down their neck, they may probably let you be the leader of the group, and it's just this really nice flow and nice group dynamic where you guys can then get a lot done. Your friends, because the 11th house, the planets in it are also, and the sign too, is also going to tell you a lot about your friends. Now, a lot of people watching this will probably have Pluto in Scorpio, maybe some in Libra, or, you know, Sagittarius, Capricorn, but you know, my generation, I was born in 94, probably Pluto and Scorpio, so that makes this like extremely true. You can have very powerful friends. And one example that immediately jumped out to me was Melissa Ford. She's Rihanna's best friend. And I think that even says a lot, like just the way that I described her. Oh, Rihanna's best friend. Oh, that girl that I've seen hanging out with Rihanna. It's like your friends can be very powerful, and that will have a very transformative effect in your life. So maybe your friend changes your life. Maybe your friend is a pop superstar, or maybe they are the CEO of a big company. Maybe they are the boss somewhere. Just powerful in some kind of way that through your association with them, they can really transform your life. Because your friends are very powerful, can be very powerful, and also can have this intensity, you may or may not resent this. I mean, maybe she doesn't like being called Rihanna's best friend. Maybe we don't want to always be like, oh, so-and-so and so-and-so. Like maybe we kind of want to have our own individuality, or maybe not always be compared to the friend. Or very possible, you can be that friend within your group of friends that is like, I'm the most successful one, or I'm the richest one, or I have the most power, you know, and power can manifest in a lot of different ways between all your friends. And maybe they even have some resentment towards you, especially if this is in Scorpio. Scorpio is like the sign of jealousy. So, and while friendships between people who are on different planes in life is completely possible, again, you have to strike that right balance between you and your friends for a way that you guys can connect without it being overbearing, you know, in any one direction, so that resentment does not build and you guys just get to learn and grow from it. Take the differences and use them for positive. I don't really think that astrologers should predict death, but Pluto can be a death. It can represent death of some sorts. You may have a death of a friend, and that may be very transformative to you. So let's say, for example, you have a friend who has a drug overdose, and that pain of, you know, losing your friend and thinking about their life and wanting them to be here and all that stuff may actually, like I said, there's this transformation, the scorpion to the eagle, or the phoenix, or whatever it is, the bird, you know, the higher evolution of Scorpio. You may then start a foundation. Again, we're in the realm of groups. 11th house is also progressive social change. You may start a group that promotes awareness about certain drugs or tries to get people off the streets or something like that. Deaths of friends can be very transformative to you. And because this is Scorpio, it can feel very dark in the beginning, but it really can be a great catalyst for you to take any deaths that you may experience in your social circle and use them to grow. And you can also have a figurative or metaphorical death of friends. Maybe you are, and this is big for this placement too, ostracized from a group for some reason. You have the death of that friendship, the death of that social circle, and you're really supposed to use it to be reborn. A lot of times, because this is Pluto, it can test you. So maybe you have like 4 friends and you invite them to your house and somebody steals something. And then you know it was person A or whoever. And they go, no, it's not. It was, and they make up a lie. And now all of a sudden everyone's against you. You may feel very hurt. This is that scorpion, you know, the hard exoskeleton, that outer shell. A big transformative process, if you have Pluto in the 11th house, is to learn to be open to friendships, even though they can be painful or they may have been painful in the past. Another example that I wrote down is bullying. Because you may experience painful events when it comes to social circles, you can come off very like antisocial. You can come off very scorpionic to people, and this scares people away. I mean, Scorpio is right after Libra, which is like friendly and sociable and like Venusian. This Scorpio scares people. I mean, not me, not some people. If you have that, I have Venus in Scorpio, you know what I'm saying? If you have an affinity for Scorpio, it's actually draws, people to you. But for the most part, Scorpio is very intense and it is very intimidating to people. And people are like, they don't even know why they're scared of you. They're just like, ugh. And you can put that vibe out sometimes. The lone wolf vibe, black sheep vibe, don't come talk to me, don't fucking bother me, unapproachable vibe. Maybe you do it unconsciously because you don't even realize it. That can happen. Or maybe you do it intentionally because you've been hurt, because you've been ostracized, things like that. And so a big lesson here is to learn to be open to new people coming into your social circle, new friends and new groups, and that there's a big life lesson here that they may still hurt you. People, friends, relationships, like lovers, family, whoever, they can hurt you. And the best thing you can do is still learn to be open to love. I know that sounds so cheesy, but still learn to be open to love and loving your friends, even if it's not worked out in the past. That is the evolution. That is how Pluto in this house goes from the Scorpion to the Phoenix/Eagle, whatever it is. You can be very fascinated by studying the psychology of group dynamics in social settings. So we've got Pluto, and especially if it's in Scorpio, it's going to be very interested in psychology, the depth and the probing of why is this person the most popular person in the class? Why do we treat this person this way? Or how come when these people get together, they act like this, but if you switch one person out and add another one in, then they act like that. So you can be very fascinated by that and study that. One of my favorite scenes that I think depicts this is Mean Girls when they're in the mall.
Being at Old Orchard Mall kind of reminded me of being home in Africa, by the watering hole, when the animals are in heat.
To pick up on these subtleties about group dynamics that are just absolutely fascinating. I mean, you may look at a girl, I'm trying to think of examples. Let's just say a girl comes in every day and she puts, I don't know, a lot of makeup on and she's wearing very seductive, like sexy clothing. She will be, when she comes into the group, be sought after by like a lot of men, or maybe have jealousy from other women. And you'll notice that there's actually nothing intrinsically different about this girl than from all the other girls, except for the way she's presented herself has then invited this different reaction. And so you'll be able to boop, 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 boop. You're like, the Terminator, he's like, boop, boop, boop. You can read people and be like, boop, boop, boop. She's popular because of this, or he's doing this because of that. And a really cool thing that you can do, if you use your powers for good, is you can take the things that you have noticed and you can sort of notice little tactics and dynamics and incorporate them into your personality. It won't be natural like a Libra. A Libra has a very natural and subconscious mirroring of other people that allows them to infiltrate different social circles. You'll be very calculated about it, but it can still have the same effect. So let's just say you are maybe the loner kid, a little shy, a little quiet, and you notice that the kid who has a lot of friends looks at everybody in the eye, and you'll notice the subtlest of details. You'll say, why does that kid have all these friends? And you may sit in the cafeteria or sit back or somewhere and watch. And you might say, well, he goes up and he speaks to people. He looks at people in their eye. He initiates conversation with strangers. And so then you may say, okay, I can start to do those things, and you'll start to incorporate that into your personality, and you can really notice your social circle transform and change. And it's really come from this place of like psychological observation. And like you can really be a type of person who can like write a book on group dynamics, on how to be powerful, how to be the leader of a group, how to get other people to subconsciously recognize, like, I want to lead what we got going on. And that can be, like I said, if you use your powers for good, that can be extremely instrumental in using, and not in a bad way, using people and groups to transform, to get your, as a means to an end, whatever that is to you. You can just notice things socially that I feel like a lot of other people don't notice, and you can really pick it apart and really have a lot to say and a lot of observations about it. When I was in ninth grade, I was in ninth grade. So I came to the first day of school, and I was walking down the hallway, and I'd seen this girl, and she had just like this really ugly sweater on. I mean, it was hideous. And I remember thinking, like, it was green, but it was a very ugly green, and it had white stripes, and I just was like, in my head, of course, like, man, that is an ugly sweater. And it caught my eye because it was just so bright and so gaudy. About an hour later, I seen another girl with the same sweater on, and I was like, By the end of the day, I had counted 4 girls who had the same ugly ass sweater on. And all I could think was, this sweater is hideous. Why is everyone wearing it? And I talked about it with my friend, and we actually came up with the fact that this sweater was sold at Abercrombie and Fitch, which back in the day, you guys, was the thing to wear, especially if you're in like middle high school. So everybody, I'm theorizing, went to Abercrombie and Fitch and got the sweater, not because they liked it, but because they just thought it would be socially acceptable. And that's why 4 different girls from different grades came to the first day of school with the same sweater on. It's those kinds of things you'll notice, and you may start to pick up, well, I think this person may have a lack of confidence to be themselves or dress themselves. Just stuff like that you'll really notice. And it really gives you a keen understanding on why people interact with others the way that they do. A way deeper understanding than a lot of other people will have. And especially if your Pluto is in Libra, this is like your thing. This is what you do. You infiltrate groups and you just see what they're doing and you're like, okay. But because you've got that Pluto observation, but coupled with this Libra mirroring, and so you really can be such a great shapeshifter when it comes to being in different groups and talking to different people. Because you like to have intensity with your friends, you can easily weed out fake friends very quickly, or you kind of just weed out friends that aren't that close. You like intensity with your friendships, so somebody that's just like, is just kind of, hey, you make small talk with them there in the hallway, you're not gonna like that for too long. Or if you feel that somebody is not being a good friend to you, subconsciously it will bother you quickly and more intensely than it would somebody else. And you'll notice it faster, and you'll pick it up, and you'll just toss that person to the curb, even if they're not a bad person. Like I said, maybe you guys just aren't that close because you like different things. You'll just kind of be like, you won't be mean to them, but you won't really give them a lot of your social effort, because you just feel like, especially if this is in Pluto, I'm going to keep saying, this friendship, there's no intensity here, and therefore it's just not super worth it. You can have friends from secret groups or secret friends. So I always envision, and I keep using high school because as examples, I just feel like it's a great general base for us to get an understanding of like what I'm trying to get across. So let's just say like you have like a really popular girl, and then there's like the Dungeons and Dragons tournament, and you would never think like, oh, she wouldn't be there, but she may actually go in secret. Or she may have friends there like that she's super cool with, but then in the day she's like, like, not here, don't talk to me, you're my secret friend. Or you can literally be in groups that are totally shrouded in secrecy. So like if there's like a sex club, you know, for the adults in your town. And like, you know, let's say you live in like a small town, but there's like 10 people that are in this secret like swingers club or something like that, and nobody knows that you guys are in it, or nobody knows that you guys are a part of it, but you guys all know because you're there. It's that kind of energy that you can have. And also, it really goes with that because Pluto's also sexuality, along with Mars, the more taboo kind of sexuality, the deeper, more intense kind. So that can very much be a big thing. Maybe you're a regular at a strip club, or you know the people who are there, you know, something like that. In keeping with the theme of friends and secrets, your friends may know all of your secrets, or maybe a very deep, dark secret about you, and vice versa. There is this compulsion to share our secrets with our friends because we feel, again, like we could be intense with them, and we want that intensity back as well. So we may also want to know like their secrets too. When it comes to the more abstract of realizing your dreams in an 11th house sense, your aspirations, you can be super intense about your dreams and super focused on achieving what it is that you want. Really go after it relentlessly. And immediately I thought of this tweet from Lizzo where she was like, yeah, I did shows for no money, and I used to sleep in my car, like all these kinds of stories. The Weeknd, very famous, he slept in a van for a while. When you really want something, when it is your dream, like, and I don't mean your 12th house when you go to sleep dream, I mean your daydream, like when you're ringing up groceries because you're a cashier and you're like, you have your little thought bubble and you go into fantasy land, like that kind of aspirational type dream that you would like to make a reality. You can be have extreme intensity and focus towards getting there. Pluto is about transformation, so your goals and your dreams may transform over time. One thing, you know, you hear stories from people and they'll say like, oh, ever since I was a kid, like my parents always told me, be a doctor, be a doctor, be a doctor, be a doctor. And some people may internalize that and say, okay, I'm gonna grow up, I'm gonna be a doctor, I'm gonna be a doctor, I'm gonna be a doctor. And then they get to college and realize, I'm not actually interested in this. Actually, I wanna be a graphic designer. And so then your dreams, the intensity that you have towards them, they change. What goes on in your thought bubble as you're fantasizing and as you're thinking about your dreams, that vision, that TV screen in the thought bubble will change and transform into something else. And suddenly you're not going to be fantasizing about going through med school for however many years and walking across the stage and, you know, doing surgery with that's not in your dreams anymore. Now your dreams are, oh, I'm designing this package, or I'm here, or someone's looking at my work here. Your dreams can very much change. In relation to Pluto with power, I would say your friends can make you feel more powerful. Maybe you are, you know, somebody that's really big and bad when it comes to when you got all your friends behind you. You know, when you got your cronies behind you, egging you on. Maybe you just think you're that guy. Also, when you're in prison, you know, for some reason in prison, we always have to align by race. But when you go to prison, I'm assuming, I've never been, you're probably scared. And then when you're in your group or with your race or whatever, you probably feel a little bit more protected, a little bit more powerful. Therefore, you might talk a little bit more shit. You might be a little bit more aggressive and assertive. It's that same kind of thing. When you have your friends, they can really, really give you not necessarily like a backbone, because that would imply that you're kind of like weak without them, but they can definitely like enhance the feeling of power that you have within yourself. That's the way to put it. So safety and groups and transformation all can kind of mix into one. And something that reminds me of is like gang culture. So what do gangs do? I mean, they go around, they commit petty crimes or bigger crimes. But it doesn't work if it's just one guy. If one guy is just running around town, robbing people and just breaking in the store and just doing dumb shit. Like, he's gonna get caught. It's gonna take a hell of a lot longer. It's gonna be tougher. I mean, you gotta go in the store and then come out and carry it all out and be your own getaway driver. And you gotta do all this. When it's a gang of people, it really represents how the group and the feeling of being in a group can make you feel more powerful. Okay, now there's 4 of us. Okay, well, now let's go rob the bank. You know what I'm saying? You never see people robbing a bank by themselves in a movie. They always like are running out and somebody's always in the car. One story that I saw on Gangland, I don't know if you guys remember Gangland, it's such an old show, but there's a guy and he lived in a gang neighborhood. He joins the gang and something happens, I forget. They're getting caught or whatever, and he stands by the gang. He doesn't snitch, he doesn't rat anybody out. They and then turn on him, beat him up. He's in the hospital. And the police officer on the case was like, he's just a poster child for why you shouldn't join a gang, because you have an allegiance to a certain group that really doesn't have an allegiance to you. And so depending on where you're at in your Pluto journey, that may be something that you need to realize. And maybe your story isn't so intense that you're going to end up on Gangland, the show, but the example of it can teach you maybe some life lessons about really being careful about the kind of crowd that you're hanging out with. And again, like I spoke about earlier, being open to letting new friends in after you've experienced some pain, which a lot of times you will, because this is Pluto. You know what I'm saying? This is not Jupiter. This is not the sun or Venus. So when I was speaking about groups, you can be very passionate and have intensity towards the things that you care about, but the things that you care about will be colored by the sign and they'll be colored by Pluto. So you can be very forceful in pushing agendas that have to do with things that are taboo, with sexuality, and with things that are a little tougher, I would say, to talk about than most people want to acknowledge. Maybe you talk about things like sexual violence or something like that. Something that it reminds me of is like the Me Too movement. So it's a whole movement, it's a whole group of people who are trying to push a certain agenda of, hey, an agenda that is not really widely talked about, that's based in sexuality, of people saying, hey, this happened to me too. Like, it's about pushing forward how we speak about sexuality, sexual abuse, and how we really respond to it, how we treat the victims of that. So you can be somebody who's really a front runner, who's really leading the charge for movements such as that, and you may be very passionate and very fired up about it. And that's where your intensity is just great, because a lot of times there may be a lot of people who are experiencing things, but they don't really know how or don't really desire to be in the forefront. And you can take that role and really stand up for a lot of people and push movements and push things that really do make the world more progressive in a Plutonian way. So the overall lesson here is to learn everything that you can, soak up everything that you can from interactions with your friends and from social groups, and use it as a stepping stone to learn how to socialize and interact better, or should I say, in a more effective way, and in a way where your heart is not right on your sleeve, in a way where you can interact without getting hurt so easily. Learn how to toe the line in exerting your power in groups. And what this will do is allow people to, it's not going to scare people away from you, and it will allow you to foster like healthy connections for the people who do stay in the group. You may really enjoy meeting up once a week for, let's say you're in like a local PETA group or whatever. You may really enjoy, and they may really enjoy coming together and then using that intensity for the goal rather than using the intensity on each other. Let your friends be individuals and you be your own individual amongst them. Allow your passion to lead you to meet people who are also passionate about the same thing, and where you guys can really push what you believe all together. Allow yourself some balance as well. So allow yourself some socializing time and then some isolation time where you can just be alone. And so all that intensity that is going in and out between you and others and about observing social settings, and you can kind of recharge yourself. And be okay with the fact that you're not going to be friends with everybody. And there's nothing wrong with you or them if, you know, everyone doesn't become your best friend. Always set standards and boundaries for your friends with how you're treating them and how they're treating you. And if you do all of the things that I just suggested, groups and friends will just have a way of transforming and changing your whole life for the better. You'll be like, you know, the butterfly coming out of the cocoon at the end. So now I will say, if this is retrograde, then all of this may be subconscious to you and it may be a little bit harder to figure out what to do. But if you're watching this video, then you have some steps for what you can do. We got some celeb inserts. So who popped out at me immediately was Jennifer Aniston. What do we know Jennifer Aniston for? She is known for playing on the TV show Friends. Friends, literally TM like the show, and friends like social circles and groups can be transformative and change her life. So when Jennifer Aniston is dead and gone, and in 100 years people look back, they will know her for playing Rachel on Friends. So I just thought that was so interesting. Like, the group is so powerful. Kelly Rowland. So again, if you had to describe certain people in a quick way, I think that tells you a little bit about what stands out about them. How do we know Kelly Rowland? Well, some people might say that she's a singer. Most people would say she's a former member of Destiny's Child. So she's in a group that is very transformative and powerful and changing her life. Honestly, most people, let's keep it real, are going to know her more for that than for her solo songs and for her solo career. It's just what you know her as. So a group has been extremely instrumental, extremely powerful. And I'm sure if you think about what it must be like to be in a girl group with Beyonce, you got to be like, well, why is she always in the middle? And all these power dynamics. So just everything I described in the video really comes out there. Great example, Kelly Rowland. In the same vein, Melanie Brown, aka Scary Spice. When I was looking at people with 11th house Pluto, I was like, who the hell is Melanie Brown? Mostly because I'm younger and she's in a group. And as soon as somebody says Scary Spice, I knew who to picture. But when you say Melanie Brown, I'm like, no. But you always picture her in this group, not as a solo individual. And a very powerful one is Indira Gandhi. So she was extremely instrumental in leading the fight for progressive change for people in India and just making it a more, like I said, progressive and fair place for a lot of people. She was extremely influential. She was like really at the forefront of that movement. And again, she's leading a lot of other people because a lot of other people are feeling the same way. It's not like she was the only one thinking this, but when you think of the movement, she's one of the only people you think of because she just has that intensity and that power to want to change that. And so those are just some celebs who I felt like represent 11th house Pluto, like to the T, like so textbook. And I just thought to see the different manifestations of how it can be more literal in the sense of like Kelly Rowland, or more abstract in the sense of like Jennifer Aniston, how friends and social circles can transform our lives. So anyway, that was Pluto in the 11th house. As always, tell me what you guys think. We can have a discussion in the comments about your experiences or anything that you feel like I've missed. Leave comments for videos that you'd like to see, and I will make sure to add them to my list. I do keep a list. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.